Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am finally doing it. I'm tackling one of the biggest announcements out of D23, which is the Villains Land coming to the Magic Kingdom. I've avoided breaking down the Villains Land concept art so far because possibly of all the concept art we got from D23, this is the one that is the most concept than anything. It's really just vibes and ambiance with a few vague indications. But here's the thing. Over the past several weeks, I've heard the same report from multiple sources, and I want to dig into it. Also, I want to discuss how I believe Imagineering is and has been testing us for what they're going to feature in Villains Land, and I have a prediction for you all as well. But first, let's cover what we already know, and that is, according to Josh D'Amaro at the 2024 D23 fan event, the Magic Kingdom's Villains Land will be home to dining, shopping, and 2 attractions, and he notably used the phrase grand scale twice, which to me suggests they're thinking big, which is great. That's what we want. However, big thinking and or grand scale doesn't mean big or grand scale decisions. Yes, unfortunately, according to the reports I've heard from, again, more than one source, the only thing that has been officially greenlit for Villains Land at this point is the Maleficent-themed Thorn Briar roller coaster that is depicted in the concept art. Everything else is, as you probably guessed it, still blue sky. And if you know how Disney works, this really shouldn't be a huge surprise. Again, the concept art kind of already told us this, and it only makes sense for Magic Kingdom's new Cars Land to be built first, as the land dedicated to Villains Land will likely be used as Cars Land's construction base. They're going to want to start from the inside of Magic Kingdom and then work their way out. So Villains Land comes second. That means they don't really have to decide on anything right now. But what's fascinating is we're about to witness their decision-making process, and we're probably a part of it. While others may disagree, I think it's worth noting that Villains Land is going to be more of a challenge than maybe some expect. Bringing scary into the Magic Kingdom has never gone over well. And if you're old enough to remember Snow White's Scary Adventures or Tomorrowland's Alien Encounter, you know what I mean. So Disney really needs to pull off a not so scary kind of Villains Land that still manages to satisfy adults and rival Universal Monsters Land that's coming to Universal Orlando's Epic Universe. That's quite a difficult needle to thread, and they're going to have to be testing this out. And I think actually Universal is one of those tests. Disney is going to be watching that land's performance when it opens next year very closely, as well as how families respond to it, not just adults. Another test that is going to be going on is the Villains show that's coming to Hollywood Studios next year, and that's going to replace Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy, which at the time of me filming this video just closed. In my view, this villain show is a dress rehearsal, a tryout for the Disney Villains Land more than anything. And a few things to take note here. When it was announced, the Disney Parks blog specifically mentioned Cruella de Vil, Captain Hook, and Maleficent. And artwork for the show included the Magic Mirror, Hades, Jafar, Ursula, Scar, the Queen of Hearts, as well as Captain Hook, Maleficent, and Cruella de Vil. In fact, an additional piece of concept art featured a Cruella de Vil scene for the show with a lot of fashion sketches and outfits. It kind of reminded me of the Emma Stone's Cruella, but yet not. And while Cruella is a fun villain, I think it's going to be a challenge to make her work in a Villains Land with Maleficent. But since she's getting a lot of focus in the show, I'm guessing they may have some ideas. But as for other tests, I think it's worth paying attention to what has worked best at Disney California Adventure's Oogie Boogie Bash. I would be shocked if the Villains Grove walkthrough, which is always a crowd pleaser at that Halloween event, hasn't been studied by Imagineers and maybe a little appetizer of what we can expect from Villains Land at Magic Kingdom. Also, the character meet and greets that are often change and rotate with each year at Oogie Boogie Bash may also kind of be a bit of a test for Villains Land and what works. One other test and or preview that I think Disney has in the works for Villains Land is Disney Cruise Line's Disney Destiny, which sets sail next year. It has a heroes and villains theme, and we already know to expect Maleficent, Hades, Scar, and Cruella de Vil. Sound familiar? As well as Dr. Facilier. Now, let's get to my prediction for Villains Land. One of the biggest questions concerning this Magic Kingdom land is what the other attraction will be in addition to the roller coaster. And if this project gets budget cut, I think we'll get a spinner attraction or something basic. But if Demaro keeps to his promise of grand scale for Villains Land, I'm predicting the second ride is going to be a dark ride located in a villain style castle like we've seen in the concept art. I think they're going to do a dark castle twist, and having a dark ride inside of that would be a way to bring in all of the Disney villains at one location in one ride, tying their presence all together. And granted, this is if budgets don't get in the way. But if they're able to, I think the ride system, the same ride system as Tokyo Disneyland's Beauty and the Beast ride, would be perfect for this concept. Each room would allow different villains to perform their numbers from the Disney animated films and within a castle infrastructure. It's also a way that a villain's ride could still be family friendly as guests are riding through musical numbers from movies they've likely already seen. Well, that's all I've got for now on the Magic Kingdom's Villains Land. Unfortunately, I still think we're months away from getting actual confirmation. I think the reception to the Hollywood Studios Villain Show in 2025 will be very telling. But hopefully, in the meantime, maybe we'll get a few more details on that Maleficent roller coaster. But if you enjoyed this video, if you love Disney Park news and analysis, I would so appreciate if you consider giving this video a like and subscribing. I'm a travel and entertainment journalist with a passion for the Disney parks, and I love documenting my travel experiences while also sharing and analyzing Disney park and cruise line news. But regardless, I appreciate you taking the time to watch and listen today, and I hope you have a magical day.